Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Emily Britt, and I have the privilege of serving as the Associate Dean of Students here at Sewanee. My job includes lots of different things, but one of the things is I get to coordinate orientation. And so all of the behind the scenes things that you've been seeing are coming from me. So I'm glad to be here today. But this session is about athletes and a little bit more about learning at Sewanee. What's it like to be a student athlete and navigate the classroom and your sport? And so in just a second, we're going to have some of our presenters talk a little bit about that. And then we also have a panel of student athletes who will share with you their tips and tricks. But in order to make this really successful, we want your questions. Some of you submitted questions in advance, which we appreciate. If you have others that come up throughout this webinar, please feel free to submit them. You can do that in two ways. The first way is through the Q&A box. So down at the bottom of your screen, you should see an option that says Q&A. You can click that and submit a question, and then we will answer it either to the presenter or in our student panel. The other way is that you can submit it in the chat. So you can send that to the hosts and panelists, and we will make sure we get to it. If we don't get to it during this webinar, we will definitely follow up with you to make sure that your question gets answered. So without further ado, I'm going to hand off the microphone to our first presenter, who is Brooke Harrington. She is the Assistant Dean for Integrated Advising, and she's going to talk to you all about course registration and all of the other things that she oversees.
Thank you, Emily. Emily, is it possible for you to allow me to share my screen and then I can go over the course selection form a little bit with students? Sometimes it's easier to have a visual on that.
Absolutely. You should be able to do that now.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. So we're going to talk just a little bit today about academics in terms of like what your first semester will look like. And then also when you think about a little bit longer term, just to have a general idea of what those potential areas might be. We don't expect any student necessarily to come in knowing what their major is. There are a lot of schools where when you're applying, you have to say what your major is going to be, and then that's kind of your track. But at Sewanee, we really encourage students to explore the different areas that we have. If you think about our curriculum as sort of a pie and divided up in three parts is typically how I've explained it. So you have a third of that is going to be your general education. A third of it is going to be major courses. And then the other third is going to be electives, or it could be counting towards a minor. So you have a lot of time to explore areas. So if you're not taking 3 courses within your major in the first year, that's okay, right? You have your general education, and that is used for kind of the whole gaining knowledge in college, but also to touch on certain areas that maybe you haven't explored before. So we just want everybody to kind of be open to that. And so that's really where that course selection form comes in, to let us know like what your interests are. Again, we don't expect you to know. If you do know, that is fine too. Let us know. But if you don't, it's absolutely fine. If you are on, and typically to get to this page, I just Google course selection process, Sewanee, and then it's usually the first response that comes up, or the first search result. But if you go down here, under the steps, 4th step is the general education. And so this will give you an overview of the different general education areas. So everybody's going to be required to complete general education, but there's a variety of classes that fulfill all of these different areas. So if you look through these, there are videos that go through each of those to give you a little bit more understanding. Some of them have students speaking about their experiences, some of them have faculty, but it gives you kind of a broader view of what to expect from these different areas. We prefer that students don't think of the general education as something like a check the box that they have to do. Now, if you are a music major and you're not particularly inclined towards math, let's say, sometimes that is a check the box, right? Everybody has to do the math and that sort of thing. But really, we want you to kind of be more engaged and then to be able to draw connections between all of these different general education areas. But to give you a little bit more in depth, this will help kind of give you an idea of what those look like. And then You can also see the list of courses that align with those general education courses as well. If you look at the very bottom of this, it's divided into the different areas. And then if you click on those, it'll actually pull up the different courses that are going to be available to you. These are hyperlinks that will then take you to a course description, so you can have a little bit better understanding of what you'll actually be studying in those classes. Okay. So that just gets you started for the general education. If there are majors that you are particularly interested in, we do not expect at this point in your life to know what the curriculum requirements are if you're going to be a biology major, if you're going to be a finance major, or any other major. We do not expect that. What we want, again, when you're looking at the course selection form, and I'm going to pull it up. This is the course selection form. If you have not already done yours, this is an edited page, so it's going to look slightly different. Like all this on the right-hand side, you wouldn't see that, but you will see these. So these are the different general education areas. And again, you can click on these and get the courses. If you click on these, something to be aware of, this is going to take you to the catalog, which shows all the courses that meet those requirements. It is not necessarily all the courses that are offered this fall. So keep that in mind. This link has all the courses, but the other page that I had up here, sorry. That has a list of the courses on the bottom of the page. Those are actually going to be the courses that are offered this fall. And then you'll have that drop-down selection on your course selection form. And that was very confusing when I was going back and forth between those pages. I apologize and can show you again if you need to. So what we're going to ask you to do first on the course selection form is to rank the different general education areas. Which ones seem the most interesting to you? Which ones come easy to you? Which ones you like the best? So kind of like to not like as much. What we're planning on doing for your fall schedules, and we're going to be making your fall schedules. Every student's going to be registered for 4 classes worth 4 credits each. So everybody's going to be registered for 16 credits. If you're taking 16 credits each semester for 4 years, you'll have 128 credits, the number that's needed for graduation. Okay. So always try to stay with the four classes each semester. When we're making your schedule, we are taking this into consideration of where your strengths are, what your interests are, if you have a potential major of interest, and then language. So we want you to have the strongest foundation your first semester, right? So if you are thinking like, maybe you want to try physics, but you didn't particularly like sciences in high school, and you're not going to necessarily major in something within a STEM field, we might not want to put you in physics the first semester. Not to say that you can't take it later, but really we want to play to your strengths as much as possible in the first semester, because we understand it's a big transition coming from high school to college. And so that's really what we're looking for, is where are you going to be the most engaged? And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to take courses that are similar to things that you took in high school, but just something that really sounds interesting or appealing to you. That's what we're doing in developing those schedules. So keep that in mind. This helps us to kind of figure out like where your strengths are, what your interests are. In the subjects of interest, these are going to be drop downs. I think it won't show us, but it's all the different subjects that Sewanee offers. And then the specific courses, these are going to be the actual courses that are offered for your first semester. And so we just want to see which courses you're interested in. Again, we do not expect that you know what the requirements are if you're going into, let's say, a pre-engineering program. You do not have to know that information. We will take care of that and make sure that you are properly placed in those classes so that you are still meeting those time requirements that you need. But it's more of what are your interests? Now, let's say you were doing pre-engineering, but you only list courses that, let's say, in English and music and history and nothing in the sciences. You'll probably get a call from us to say, how interested are you in engineering? Because we don't see any of those courses that align with that program. So we want to make sure that we're all on the same page, because otherwise, if you tell us you are interested in doing that pre-engineering, you're going to be in 2 to 3 science and math classes, as well as the language course. So that program is particularly intensive as opposed to other STEMs or the non-STEMs. So when you tell us that you're interested in a pre-professional track and that's later on in the form, then we are going to take that into consideration when making your schedule as well. Okay. So again, you can select up to 12 courses. You don't have to put 12 in here. The more you put, the greater the chances of getting into the courses that you're interested in. The assignments, when we make those schedules, are done at random. So it's not a first come, first served basis. And so if somebody, let's say, submitted the first day, they may also be the last to get their schedule made. It's just completely at random that we do those. So keep that in mind. If, for example, you are towards the end and you wanted to take a particular music class, that class might be full by the time we register you. So we want to go to plan B or C or D. And so the more classes you have listed, the better the chances of you getting into some of those courses. Again, let's say you want to be a political science major, for example, and you only list one politics course down there. Well, if we see that you're interested in politics, but that course, for example, that you have listed is full, we'll probably put you into another politics course just so you can get a taste of that and see if that's what you might be interested in. And it's still counting towards your overall 128. It's potentially still counting towards that major. No class that you're going to be registered for in your first semester should be considered wasted, or like you don't have to take it. It's not counting for something. It's all counting towards your graduation requirements. So just keep that in mind. You won't necessarily have 4 classes that will have all from the list of the 12 classes that you have listed. We're going to try to give you as many as possible, but we're also taking into consideration the schedule and the balance of the rigor with those courses. So as athletes, we won't schedule students after 3 o'clock so that you can go to practice. Now, there are a couple of Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday classes that go from like 2 to 3:15. And so some students might be in those, but we're not starting any classes at 3 o'clock on. So that gives you enough time to get to practice. We'll always leave time for breakfast. We'll always leave time for lunch. So you have time to get all your classes done and eat, and then still get to practice on time. So just know that we are very aware of that. And then if you have any is important for us to know, please put those in here. You don't like math, or I don't know. If you want to say that you're particularly not a morning person, or you are a morning person, that's helpful. I can't promise that you won't be in early morning classes if you say you don't want to take a class before 11, because it's hard to get an athlete schedule made between like 11 and 2 o'clock. So we're trying to get as much of a balance as we can so that you have classes 4 to 5 days a week, and not just 3 days a week. So we're trying to be as flexible as we can based on your interest, but also, just trying to keep a balanced schedule. So keep that in mind. Every student, I would say about 95% of the students are going to be registered for a language course in their first semester. At Sewanee, you need a minimum of 3rd semester competency. So depending on your placement exam, that will determine where you're placed into. And when you select the languages on your form, you'll select up to 3 different languages. When you do those drop downs there, it will pull in your placement. So you'll see what those placements are. If you're starting with first semester, you will do 3 semesters of a language at minimum. And then if you test in, let's say 3rd semester, you would do that 1 class at minimum. Now there is a 4th semester. You can either take a 4th semester language course, or you can take a culture class that's actually taught in English, as long as it's within that same region. So, but at minimum, what you just need to keep in mind right now is you have to have at minimum of a 3rd semester competency in the 2nd language. And then potential majors, you'll list those here. If you don't know, that's okay. Totally fine. If you have an interest in a particular minor, again, this is just our exploration. You are not held to that. You can declare your major, change your major at any time. We would like students to declare their major in their sophomore year, just to ensure that you will be on track and have the courses that you need. But right now, you have plenty of time to explore. If you're doing any of the pre-professional programs, that's going to be engineering, pre-law, pre-health, and then there's a civic and global leadership, and that is a certificate program. So if you're having an interest in any of these, if you click these hyperlinks, it will take you to the webpage that has a little bit more information about those different programs and a little bit about the courses required. If you're doing engineering 3-2, I would say If you're somewhat interested, then you need to really think about it, because that is an intensive program and you have to hit the ground running. And so if you're only somewhat interested, you don't really have the opportunity to like kind of test the waters. Now, you don't have to do the 3-2 program and still pursue an engineering. So if you're doing maybe chemical engineering, you want to do a chemistry major, you could do a physics major. That's perfectly fine too. But any sort of indication of that you can help us with would be super helpful. Again, we just want to make sure that you are getting the courses that you need if you're on a particular track. And again, the engineering one is a fast track and it's intensive. The pre-health, so if you're thinking anything like pre-med, PT, PA, any variety, dentist, vet, any of those, they'll all, for the most part, follow very similar requirements. We do have a pre-health advisors. They will have a breakout session during the orientation where you can meet with them, and you can also meet with them throughout the semester. It will be important for you to meet with them at some point during the semester in addition to your faculty advisor, okay? All students will have a faculty advisor assigned to them in August. You will meet with them at orientation. You will always meet with your advisor before each registration window opens going forward. But for this coming semester, we'll make your schedule. And then if you have questions about your schedule, once it's made, you'll have an opportunity to meet with your advisors during orientation. And then if you need to change your schedule, you can. Hopefully you won't need to change your schedule, but I would encourage every student to go to the classes at least one day to get a feel for what that professor is like, what the course content is going to be like before you think that you need to change your schedule. We've been doing this for a while and feel like we have a pretty good grasp on like what works and creating balanced schedules for students. So you just kind of be open-minded. Again, we're taking all of the different aspects into consideration to give you a balanced schedule and to get you into classes and subjects that you're interested in. And then this is just a little bit more details. Again, this additional information, if you can share that with us. And then if you had accommodations, just let us know that. If you're first generation student, please let us know that. And then that would complete the course selection form. Okay. If you have questions about that, I think we're going to take questions at the end, but I'm happy to kind of answer them now if that is helpful. Thanks for putting the link in. In terms of the different STEM fields, we're looking at, the sciences of computer science. If you don't get into a computer science class and that's your major of interest, you will be able to start that in your second semester and it will not affect your graduation. We want to try to put students in there as much as we can, but if all those seats are full, that's all we can do. And then just know that if you take it in your the first class in the computer science major, if you take that in your second semester, you're going to be okay. It's not going to affect your graduation. The engineering one is the most intensive one that kind of has that more, what should I say? Like just tougher requirements in terms of like what you need to do in a particular order in order to graduate on time. Okay. And then the pre-health, we went over that. Students will either be placed into a chemistry class or a biology class their first semester if they're doing pre-health. Occasionally, you'll be placed into both. Most athletes, I would say, would not be placed into a chemistry if it has a lab with it. We try to avoid your first semester, if you're a fall athlete, putting you into a lab because it's going to meet 4 days a week and that lab is typically for 3 hours. So it becomes a little bit more intensive. There are 3 different placements that you can have with chemistry. We send an email out to all the students to let them know what those chemistry placements are. If you're in Chem 119, you will probably be placed into that as well as biology if you're doing a pre-health track. But if you place into Chemistry 120, then that has a lab with it. And so we probably won't put you in that with a biology as well, your first semester. Won't affect your timeline. You're still okay. It's just going to be one or the other. And we have limited seats in both the biology and the chemistry. So it's just going to be evenly distributed that way. Okay. One other thing besides courses I want to tell you about is the resources that we have in our office. Every student will be assigned a student success and career readiness coach. And that success coach is there to meet one-on-one with you, to talk about any challenges you might be having, if you don't know how to take notes, if you have trouble communicating with your faculty advisor, study skills, any number of things they can help you with. If you start to feel yourself struggle, just go in and talk to them. 20-minute meeting just to kind of touch base, see how they might be able to help you. It is so much easier if you feel like, oh, it's getting tough. Meet with your faculty professor during office hours to review any content. It can sometimes be intimidating. I understand that. I was there. We've all been there, but they know that about first year students, right? That it is a little bit scary. And so you can leave that sort of pressure on them to kind of create that dialogue. It helps if you have questions, like I didn't understand what you were talking about regarding macroeconomics, let's say. That's very general, but go in there with a question, or if you honestly, if you just feel lost, that's okay. Like they understand that and they can break that information down for you. But the success coaches can kind of come in with supplements. They're not going to be able to tutor you. There are tutors on campus that we strongly encourage all students to utilize, but they can help you get organized, time management, just help with those study skills, right? So if you ever start to feel yourself struggle, please go see your professor and your success coach. Don't wait until it's midterms and you see like you're halfway done, you're late on assignments, you're behind, you don't understand the content. It's so much harder as you go on to get caught up. So I just strongly encourage you to reach out to your faculty and reach out to the success coaches to meet with them on a regular basis. That is what they are there for. They want to help you. That is our primary job, is to help you all be happy and healthy and feel like you can be successful at Sewanee. Every student is fully capable of being successful here, but we all need a little bit of help in different ways. So it is strongly encouraged. Just keep asking questions, keep asking for help. That is what we are here for. We would not be doing this if we did not care and we didn't want you to come in and ask for help. So that is what we are here for. So if you have any questions, besides this, there are faculty advisors over the summer that if you have particular questions about the course selection form, you can schedule a meeting with them. Again, on that same page that I just was about course selection process, at the bottom, there's a link to the faculty advisor schedule. So you can click that. You can also email advising@sewanee.edu. I answer those emails. So if you have questions, feel free to contact me as well. And I think that does it for me. And then do you want me to wait to answer any questions till the end? I think we've done.
Yeah, thanks, Brooke. I learned things, even though I talk to you all the time about this stuff. So I learned some stuff. So hopefully everybody else did. We will circle back if there are some questions, but I think up next, I'm going to ask Carrie Austin, who's our Assistant Director of Athletics, to talk a little bit from the athletics perspective about expectations and how athletics will set you up for success.
And I'll just throw in real fast. So there is a Q&A box at the bottom. So if you do have questions, you can feel free to type them in there. And then we can answer those questions at the end. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Brooke. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I want to say welcome. We're really, really excited to have you joining our Sewanee family and can't wait to meet you all in August as you show up to campus. My name's Carrie Austin. I'm the Associate Director of Athletics at Sewanee. In my role, I handle the day-to-day operations, and I also lead up our NCAA compliance and general compliance for those of you that are not in NCAA sports. So at Sewanee, we view athletics as a co-curricular activity, meaning that it's a very important part of your overall educational experience at Sewanee. What we say is we strive for excellence in all that we do, and that means in athletics and in academics. Athletically, 24 conference championships is our goal. What that means is we want to be competing for championships and berths in the NCAA tournament or your respective national tournament for all of our sports. We also expect that you approach, I'm sorry, I got a major wind gust here. We also want you to approach your academics with the same amount of rigor and enthusiasm as you are a student athlete, and your academics needs to be a priority in your life. So in terms of your athletic eligibility, there's a few things that you need to do. First of all, you're going to receive some emails about mandatory NCAA paperwork that you're going to need to fill out. That's required for your participation. We require that for all of our athletes. That gives us all the information we need to make sure that you are eligible to play your sport. So make sure you're looking out for those emails in the coming weeks. You'll have meetings with us when August rolls around as you arrive for your preseason, or if you're spring or winter sport, you'll have those meetings right away around the first day of classes. We'll bring everybody in to have those conversations. You also need to make sure that you are in good academic standing. So at Sewanee, we have 3 levels. We have the good academic standing, we have warning, and then we have suspension. So in order to compete in your sport, you need to be in good academic standing. I don't want to confuse you with all of the GPA requirements and that scale right here, right now, but that's something that we'll provide to you when you get here, and we'll talk through it. Michelle Dombrowski helps with the eligibility portion of our compliance, and she will walk you through all of that, and we'll make sure that you're in great shape. So that might sound really exciting to some of you, and it might be really intimidating for some of the others. Just know you have a great support system around you. You have lots of great people that are going to help you and make sure that you stay on top of things and make sure that you're getting the things that you need in order to be successful. Like Brooke just said, she just taught us all of the great things that they offer over at Student Success, and we encourage all of our student athletes to utilize those resources so that they can stay on top of things. As a student athlete, you're going to do some traveling. So that means you're going to be missing some class along the way. All of our coaches will provide you with a letter in your season to share with all of your professors to start the semester. What you need to do with those letters is present them on the first day of class, introduce yourself, let them know what dates you might be missing, and start thinking about coordinating if you might be missing a deadline for a paper or an exam, so that you can work with them. Many of our faculty members are very accommodating and flexible as long as you're communicating in advance. If you're not communicating, then it's going to be harder to get that sort of grace from them. It's important to know that you will never miss class for practice. In your non-traditional season, you will never ever miss class for practice. In your traditional season, the only time that might happen is if you're on the road with your team for a competition, or if we're hosting an NCAA tournament. So it's really important that you go to class all the time and that you're not missing, especially as a student athlete, knowing that you're going to be missing some class time because of your sport. It's important that the days that you are on campus, that you are attending all of your classes. And again, communicating with your professors, also communicating with your coaches. Your coaches will work with you. They'll help you if you have an extra credit opportunity, or maybe a mandatory field trip that you need to take with your class. As long as you're communicating with your coaches, they're going to help you and they're going to support you through that. So I think I hit all the important points there. I'm going to hand it over to Evan, I believe.
Yes. Thank you, Carrie. Hello, everyone. I'm Evan Joslin. I'm an associate professor of chemistry. I am also the faculty athletic representative for the university, which means I bridge the gap between faculty and athletics. So I'm the person you would come to. Let's say if something is scheduled at Sewanee, we have something called an activity hour. That's 5 to 7. That's an hour where faculty cannot, for example, take mandatory classes or mandatory events. And sometimes, like all of us, we make mistakes and we have new faculty who might not remember that. So if something comes up with that, I'm your person you come to. You can come to my office. You can email me. Your coaches also know where I am. We also have an attendance policy on campus. Carrie alluded this to a little bit. Depending on your number of classes, there's a certain number of classes you can miss. If you find that you're struggling with this, or you think that there is something the professor's not acknowledging this attendance policy or penalizing you for being an athlete, that I'm also the person you'd come to that and we'd work out and see if it was a miscommunication or what is up. So I'm excited to get to know you. I was a student athlete myself. I did basketball and cross country, so I can understand the challenges associated with this in all disciplines. So don't hesitate to ask for help. Anybody can direct you and is happy to help. So it is my job to work with the student panel that we've put together. I'd like to introduce our three panelists. We have Alpha, if he'll turn on his camera, from men's soccer. We have Maggie from softball, and then we have Harris from football. They have joined us here to kind of offer some advice as Sewanee athletes in many different sports. So we're going to start by them introducing themselves, where they're from, maybe a quick interesting fact about yourself, and then we'll start answering some questions. So Alpha, if you want to start this one.
Hi, my name is Alpha Ba. I'm a incoming junior from Brooklyn, New York, and I'm on a men's soccer team. I'm currently studying economics and computer science, and yeah.
Hey guys, I'm Maggie Barker, and like Miss Joslyn said, I am on the softball team, and I'm a junior as well, and I'm studying a double major in neuroscience and psychology.
Hey, I'm Harris Cravens. I play football. I'm going to be an upcoming senior. I'm from Cookeville, Tennessee, and my major is finance, but I also have a minor in business and international global studies.
Perfect. Okay, so the first question that we was submitted was, could each of you, we'll start with Maggie on this one, what was the most challenging part about coming to Sewanee as a student athlete?
Yeah, I would say for me, it was learning how to do things more on my own rather than my mom telling me, hey, you got to go to practice now. All that's on you now. So it's on you to have that schedule and have those time management skills along with communication skills, talking to your coach, like, hey, I can't get here. So time management probably was my hardest thing, but Google Calendar quickly became my best friend.
For me, the most challenging thing I would say, just like Maggie said, probably time management with the work you have. Sometimes you think you have a lot of time to do work, but then it catches up to you the next day. So just realizing get work done early is the best thing you can do.
I'd say definitely the most difficult thing I had to adjust with was the school and how difficult it was coming from a public school in Tennessee. School wasn't as, I mean, it was serious, but it definitely wasn't as hard as Sewanee or anything close to it. And so having to, learn that if I really want to do good at school and, play a sport, you have to really spend a lot of time, like I said, time management. But the difficulty, if you're not ready for it, if you're not expecting it, it will catch up to you pretty quick. And that's one thing that I had to adjust to, real fast when I got here. Especially some people come early, like we come a couple weeks early and you have football and you think it's great. And then school starts and you don't want to get into school, but then, you have to realize that you need to be studying, you do your homework, you need to show it to every class, all that early on before it, like Alpha said, before it catches up to you.
Okay, perfect. So Harris, we'll start with this next question. What is the best part about being an athlete at Sewanee?
I would say personally, the team, especially coming in, you get all these guys. It eliminates a lot of awkward interactions, having to make friends. For freshmen, I will say that. But then also, on the other hand, having so many older guys that you can go ask questions to that have already went through school, help ask for advice for what classes to pick, like they just talked about, questions about your major, questions about anything going on that you don't know. You have older guys, younger guys, you have people who have went through the full experience. And so having teammates definitely eliminates a lot of difficulty and gray areas and just awkwardness in general. Having a place to sit when you go eat, just having people there has always been a great part of Sewanee.
Um, for me, I think Harris just kind of said the perfect answer for me, as well as the team and it's the people. Because the first week you get there, it can kind of be overwhelming. Well, first of all, the first week you get there is kind of preseason, so you get to gel and connect with your teammates, and you become good friends and kind of a family type. So it makes it a lot easier for the first week when everyone else comes in. It makes it easier because you already know people. And then it's also nice just because of the fact that in your first couple weekends where you don't really know that many other people, your teammates are always there, so you can always hang out with them and do stuff with them.
Yeah, I agree with Alpha and Harris. I really like the community aspect that Swanee brings to the table. Like they said, as athletes, you don't have to worry about finding your group necessarily because that's already there for you. It's just up to you to take it by the reins and run with it. Um, but like they said, I mean, you have people to sit with when you go to McClurg, or you can go do stuff together. Most likely they'll be in the same classes as you, along with some upperclassmen as well. So just having that community to lean on.
Perfect. Okay, so let's move on to the question of resources. So Alpha, what campus resources did you find the most helpful in your first year? And part of that, what do you wish you had used, or what resources had you tapped into that you did not your first year?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so sorry, the resources that were the most helpful and useful, especially the first year, was definitely my advisor because of the fact that first of all, I was lucky. I was computer science, taking a couple of computer science classes, and my advisor was one of my teachers. So I go communicate with him all the time. Very good guy, and he made things a lot easier and a lot smoother for me freshman year. And a resource that I wish I had used better was probably my teammates, actually, in the sense of after the first semester, when the second semester and third semester come, you have to select classes. And a lot of your teammates have already taken those classes. The upperclassmen have taken those classes and those majors, and talking to them and understanding what classes are most important and what classes to take first is something I definitely should have utilized earlier on.
Yeah. Um, I would say my advisor was a huge one that I really glad I took advantage of, and my success coach, because I got placed into a high Spanish class and I shouldn't have been placed into that high Spanish class. So they helped me drop down to where I needed to be. And then I wish I would have taken advantage of the writing center and the speaking and listening center, which is located in the library. And they will help you in any course that you have with papers or anything like that. And I waited till the last semester of my sophomore year to utilize that. So, yeah.
Um, I think for me, the biggest resource I had at Sewanee, and I wish I had earlier on, was the Career Center and Kim Heightenrader, that whole area in Carnegie. They I didn't realize kind of what they had going on, but basically they are constantly looking to get you connected with alumni, let you know on opportunities. I didn't realize who it was, and I had a teammate show me and introduce me to Kim, and she helped me get my first internship through Sewanee. She took me to New York with a couple of people to meet with people up in New York City, alumni that work there at companies. She helped me get into the summer program for business, and so especially coming as a finance major, she's helped a lot. And there's different things you can join that people don't really know about, like the finance cohorts or Greensview Capital, and she helps people get into it. But then also, I still get plenty of emails. I got an email this morning about a job opportunity somewhere in Kentucky. Just to apply to it, they want you to apply. If you reach out to them, they constantly give you just opportunities to access Sewanee and use the connections that Sewanee has. I don't think people realize that sometimes. And what I wish I would have done freshman year is got into that earlier. That's one thing I didn't know. It was late sophomore year when a teammate recommended me to her, and so I try to get our freshmen and have them meet her as soon as I can.
Perfect. Yes. So I think they could all stress, and I want to stress as a professor that there are so many resources out there that want to help you succeed. So just give them a try, whether it's departmental tutoring, the Career Center, the Writing Center, all of those places. You have the resources. So look for them and try them out. Okay, so I think I'm back to Maggie to start this. So tell us about your favorite class you've taken that's not in your major.
Yeah. So this is a fun one for me. So I'm an artsy person. So my favorite class I took outside of my major was probably art, intro to drawing, and 2D media. It was just one of those relaxing classes that I didn't have to really think about. It was just there. And so that was my relaxing period that I had. So I definitely like encourage you guys to step out of your comfort zone and not just take classes within your major.
Um, ooh, that's a hard question. For me, I would say a French class, one of the French classes, because we all have to take three semesters of a language, and I was able to take a couple French classes, and I definitely enjoyed those just because, first of all, the teachers were very good people, and what's it called? My family speaks French, so I didn't know how to speak French. So through those French classes, I kind of get to connect with my family a little bit better. So it kind of helped out.
This is one class I think I thoroughly believe everybody should take, not only because I had so much fun, but it also doubles down on your gen eds, and that's field bio. It's a great class. You learn a ton. If you're not a biology person, like I'm a numbers guy, and we just kind of scraped over a lot of different stuff, got to use a lot of different fun scientific tools, and we got to go outside a lot. You take that in the fall or even the spring when it's nice and pretty. It's one time a week for about 4 hours, and so you get all your hours in one day, and you're just in this big group and you go outside, you go explore Sewanee and a little bit outside the domain, outside of campus. And I always have a great memory from that. I had a good group, a lot of my teammates, and I got connected with a few people outside of my team. So that was always a great time. And if you show up and you do all your work, it's not a class that would hurt your GPA. And I mean, I had a great time.
Perfect. So I have a question kind of to go on that. Was there any class that you were assigned to your first semester that you didn't think you would like, but in the end, you really had an appreciation for it? Or it could be your first year that you guys remember.
Yeah, I can answer that. So I did FYP, which is the orientation program y'all have probably already heard about. And my class I got put in was like exploring German Swiss colonies in Grundy County. And so I was like, oh, okay, like German Swiss colonies. And then, but it was actually really fun. We got to go different places, hiking. Went to a swimming hole that was part of a Swiss colony. And so we got to swim in it. So, yeah.
Um, One class I did not expect to enjoy at all, and I kind of got forced into it through one of my classes messing up out like second semester when I was picking was thinking with Buddhists with Professor Brown. And I had actually joined a week late, and she was just great, and we had a great relationship. She just basically encouraged kids to come meet with her after class. It was a requirement. And so just having a good relationship with your professor kind of showed me like the benefits from it. So that's something I do now going forward. But we would meditate before class, and it sounds odd, but especially in season, and you just get to sit there for like 5 minutes and close your eyes, and she leads it. That was a lot of fun, and she came prepared always, and she was just a great teacher, and it was a fun class, and I didn't expect it to be fun.
For me, it was a gen ed class. I think it was like English 101. And when you're coming from like high school and you see you have to take like a basic English class, you're like, this is like a waste of time. But as the course kept on going, the books we read and the assignments we had, I started enjoying a lot more. And the teacher overall was a good teacher. So that definitely surprised me.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Okay, so Harris, what is your best tip for incoming athlete?
I'll keep this one pretty simple. Just get in the books. I think I know we have a couple freshman football players who did not get in the books when they should have been, and and even older, and they're kind of having to work it out right now. And then I have other freshman guys who, were working hard all year and they're enjoying school and everything's working out good. Um, get in the books. I think that's the biggest thing. You will learn quick that college is different than high school on a sports level, but also academics. So when you're trying to, get a spot or get PT right now and you're working hard, you've got to kind of take that same attitude and put it towards school, because if you're not working hard, she notices, the teacher does, he does. You have it's a small class, so you can't miss without them knowing. You can't not pay attention. And so, just like you want to work hard and it show, teachers will pick up on that and they notice when you're there and they notice when you're trying. So definitely just come into class, be ready, get in the books. That's my biggest thing.
That's a great answer. And to bounce off that, I would just be like, say hi, I guess. I know it's like intimidating when you first go into college and stuff, but just saying hi to people and connecting with people and connecting with your teachers, especially as well, is just a helpful thing that just allows your whole college experience first year to just be easy. Because the more people you know, the more people you like and who like you back, the easier life gets, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with both Harris and Alpha's answers. My biggest thing was don't be scared to reach out for help. There's so many resources, which all of us have touched on this session, and they're all there to help you. So definitely step out of your comfort zone. Say hi, like Alpha said. Use your teammates, because you never know which one could become your best friend. For me, instance, I didn't have a roommate going into sophomore year, and one of my teammates, I was like, "Hey, you want a room?" And now she's my best friend. So definitely reach out and take that leap of faith.
I also want to kind of tag team on the reaching out. Don't hesitate to ask your professors and others to your events. A lot of times, we're overwhelmed. We have our own things going on, but we love to attend. We just lose track of time. And so when my students specifically tell me they have a game coming up or a match coming up, I try to make that effort or find another time. So your professors want to support you too. So, let them know what's happening on the field or on the court or, does anybody have any addition? Oh, Harris.
I'm gonna add one more thing. Sorry, just off what you said, because that reminds me. These professors you take, especially in your major, will be with you your entire time at Sewanee. So if you build a relationship early, you will have these people for the rest of your time at Sewanee. Especially with finance, like I know I'm very close, and I take the same professors a lot of times because I know them and I have a relationship with them. And the better you are to them, the more you talk to them, the better it will be down the road.
Helps your recommendation letters too. Does anybody else have any panelists? Do you have any other final thoughts you would like to state or? No? Okay, so we don't have any questions in the Q&A. We'll give people a couple seconds if they want to add, or a minute or two. And then I will turn it back over to Emily if we don't get any additional questions.
Thanks, everybody. That was great. So like Dr. Jocelyn said, we'll stick around for just a second to see if any other questions come in. And you can always reach out to orientation, and we will will send your email to where it needs to go. Our next webinar is tomorrow at the same time, all about living on campus. So that's residence life, dining, wellness. I'm sure you've got lots of questions about what it's like to live on campus. And so we'll have some staff and some students there to talk to you about all of those things. But I hope that this was helpful. I think lots of the questions that we had our student athletes answer are the things that have been coming to us throughout the summer and from your parents too about what's it like to be an athlete and how do we manage that. So thank you to our panelists, to everybody, especially our student athletes who've joined us. You will see them on campus. So like Alpha said, say hello when you get here. That is a Sewanee tradition to say hello as you walk by across campus. So join into that. We really appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us. Panelists will stick around for just a second if you're working to type that last minute question. But other than that, we appreciate your time and I hope you have a great rest of your evening.